Hi, I'm Andy with Remuda Motoring. This is our 1970 Bronco, not your average coyote swapped, in your face build at all. It's very subtle, tone on tone. The more you look at this, the more you'll appreciate what we've done to this. Just walk around the outside here. We've got Wimbledon White, uncut rear fenders, 2-inch lift. We're trying to have that nice looking, like old school look, but modernize it just a little bit. Exterior, we've got BF Goodrich all-terrain TAs, and they're 31s. We've got powder coated, color matched Wimbledon White rims. 3rd generation Bronco hubcaps on there, which we think don't look too old school. They look very clean, and they fit with this I think really well. We've Cerakoted these hubcaps. It's a very clean, tone on tone look. Same with the Bronco Sport badges, which we repositioned on the fender because they were kind of not in a balanced, the original ones aren't in the middle of the panel really. We've got Cerakoted bezels on the lights, Cerakoted Ford emblem letters, brackets. These are poly retro brights on here. They look exactly the same as the original ones, but they function a lot better. Now the front and rear bumpers on these are identical, but when you put the same rear bumper, which is identical to the front, on these vehicles, it sticks out probably 3 to 4 inches more than what it does right here, because we've cut this to where we think it looks correct. It's a little detail that you would not notice, but it's all about the details on this. We've got 69, 70 Mustang side marker lights, and the bezels we Cerakoted on here. They're much smaller, they're not as in your face, and they've got like style to them. They're not just a big flat reflector. And I think the Bronco, was very utilitarian in a lot of these parts that they put on, especially the markers and especially the side mirrors. These mirrors are from a 67 Mustang. The original ones are like very, how do you say that, not three-dimensional as these have got a nice style to them. The mirrors like hidden, and it's shielded from the wind, so it's not just like flat. The driver's one has a remote toggle switch, so you can adjust the mirror from the inside. If you're concerned about getting in, we've got amp steps, which help. What else do we need to know on this? Cerakoted door handles, which are actually in fact very similar. They might be the same as a Mustang door handle of this year as well. This is the rear end of our Bronco. Cerakoted handles, license plate, original style, flip up so when the tailgate's down, the plate is still visible. This was originally a Denver, Colorado truck in 1969. Cerakote is a baked on ceramic finish. It's harder than powder coating, and it retains the crispness, and the finish is very unique. I don't think you can get this finish with powder coating or plating. It's in different lights, it reflects because of the ceramic component, and it almost looks metallic. You would be mistaken that this looks like aluminum, but it's not. You can uniformly color and protect all the parts with a Cerakote. Different metals plate differently, so we could plate the hinges and this bezel here, and they would look different. Powder coating, when you do that, you lose definition on your part, so these crisp edges and lines, you round the corners off, and they look a bit like, for lack of a better word, blobby. Color match the hard top and the front and rear bumpers with the Cerakote. The Cerakote is shimmer aluminum, and it comes off much differently in different lighting. It's very hard to see and on a photograph, in a video digitally, but when you look at it in person, you know the touch of it is very matte. It's got a nice tactile feel to it. We've probably got 300 plus parts on this that have been Cerakoted, parts that you won't probably ever see unless you looked. Most of the parts Cerakoted on this build are under the hood. We've got a 351 Windsor. It's an engine that we think that you can work on and fix a lot more enjoyably than a Coyote. The original engine, which I believe was a 302, was taken out and replaced in 1979, 9 years after this was built, with a 351 Windsor. We kept the original block and had it all machined, and it's now a 0-mile brand new engine. It pulls hard. It's got a lot of power. This 351 Windsor has Edelbrock Pro Flow 4 multi-port fuel injection, AFR aluminum heads on it, like a nice serpentine belt kit that with all the parts Cerakoted. We've got Hydro Boost brakes, an Optima yellow top battery. So the whole idea behind this Bronco is subtlety and keeping it clean. We tried to route hoses, cables, wiring, everything out of the way, out of view as much as possible, and at the same time try to make everything accessible. It's as clean as it can be and workable. It's like a good balance between original and something that's super custom. Let's close it. We have there's a remote hidden cut-off switch, so you can see under here this is predominantly where most of the wire routing happened, and we have a cut-off switch for the power right here. Easy to access, but if you don't know where it is, then it's kind of hidden. The chassis on our 1970 Ford Bronco is the original chassis. It was completely stripped down to bare metal, repainted in a satin black chassis paint, which is rust inhibitive and stops a lot of corrosion. We prefer to use that over powder coat, because powder coat eventually, when the frame flexes or whatever, it can crack, and then moisture will get in those cracks, and then rust occurs, and it's hard to touch it up if you ever need to fix such issues. We've got Bilstein shocks on here, new springs with a 2-inch lift, thick sway bars on here that you can adjust. This is on the middle setting, so you can have it looser here and tighter here. Disc brakes on the front, disc brakes on the rear, brand new drive shafts, brand new bushings. Both axles on this 1970 Bronco have 4:88:1 gear ratio. They're both the original housings, but remanufactured from the inside out. So, as we mentioned earlier, these 1967 mirrors have a toggle switch that we custom fitted, so you can adjust your mirror from inside. A luxury on these, because The original ones, you have to undo your window and do it. You still have to reach across and do the other side, but this one, yeah. We've got color matched interior door panels to the seats, saddle tan. Everything is Cerakoted again, even the window frames and stuff like that. All new seals, everything's new. Pedals are Cerakoted, all new down there. The dashboard is probably the most worked on thing in this whole vehicle. We spent a lot of hours designing something that we think is probably the cleanest dash out there. A lot of people question putting the gauge in the middle there, and they think it should be left of the steering wheel in the original position. But I don't see a lot of Jeep people changing their position of their center gauge to behind the steering wheel. So yeah, I think that's a great position. It's viewable from both seats. It's the center piece. It gives a lot of information. This is a Dakota Digital retro styled gauge that we put in. It has a GPS speedometer, and we Cerakoted the bezel. Everything's billet on the dashboard. We have vintage air, simplified all the knobs and gauges and stuff in this, so you know there's no speaker grill, there's no stereo. The stereo is actually on this little button down here, and you turn it on and off, and you can hold it in different positions for different functions. This little button interacts with the Dakota Digital gauge. Our Bronco has a 5-speed manual transmission with a short throw shifter in it, which is very definite. It's very nice to use. Of course, Cerakoted on all the shifters, Cerakoted matched boots on the shift levers. The vintage air has 4 vents, 2 on the outside of the dash and 2 in the middle. We've got some speakers in the center console just down there. We used an I Did It steering column which is tiltable. We used the original style Ford steering wheel. I think it suits this classic look, and a lot of these Broncos have crazy looking steering wheels on them. We're going for subtlety and elegance, and you know, I feel like if someone has never seen a Bronco before and they got in this, they'd be like, oh, this is what they look like originally, but it's definitely not. It's got some subtle upgrades that make this much more drivable and friendlier. We decided to make our own carpet kit because the options out there weren't very inspiring. You can buy a loop style carpet that is one piece. I think it might be 2-piece, back and front, but you have to take everything out to get it out. Or you can buy, people have started making these modular style carpets, but the materials they're using are like marine fabrics, which is nice, but it doesn't like look in keeping with the original style of the Bronco. We decided to combine both of those and make our own custom modular loop thick style carpet. Each panel is kind of removable, so you can get under there without just having to take everything out. We backed each panel with like a rubber piece so that it's easily washable. Everything is bed lined, color matched with the Wimbledon White. We have a family roll cage in here, 4 points bolted down to the body with retractable shoulder seat belts. It's color matched to the body, Wimbledon White, with a couple of grab bars in here in case it's getting too rocky. Original factory headliner and cover for the wiper motor in here. parchment sun visors. On the dashboard we have a billet glove box door with the original VIN on there. Cerakote handle here, and the brand new struts are very stiff. This is the bed liner that we're talking about here. It's very resistant to a lot of stuff. Bed lined underneath. We have fold and tumble styles rear seat in here, which goes like that. And as we were saying earlier, you can remove this rear carpet pretty easily. Just undo the 2 bolts there and, you know, wash the back out if you really want to. Rear panels here we've got with 2 6.5-inch speakers in there, Polk audio speakers. They're, again, as subtle as we could get it. Hidden fasteners, no, like, you know, you at first glance you wouldn't even see speakers in here, I don't think. Yeah. Let's take this Bronco for a ride. You have to kind of program in how it feels in the car, and most new technology in cars is trying to recreate the feeling that an old classic car like this inherently has. We chose the classic Bronco steering wheel because I think having the thin steering wheel it gives you more feedback about the steering. It's not just like a big wrapped thick sport steering wheel that, you know, you lose feeling when it's thick and smaller like that. It's got power steering. I've driven a lot of cars that don't have power steering, just manual steering, and you know, that to me is a luxury in itself, just to be able to turn this with 2 fingers. You know, the Cerakote finish on all these parts is like very nice to feel in your hand and use. You know, the gear shifter and literally every button and knob in here is Cerakoted. It feels luxurious. You know, it's actually hard for me to look at the road because I just want to look at the dash all the time because it looks so good. This is our 1970 Ford Bronco that was fully restored sympathetically and comprehensively at our workshop in Austin, Texas. Every single nut and bolt has been touched on this, and everything has been considered. Anyone who gets their hands on this build is going to be pleasantly surprised and is going to be able to enjoy this It's such a unique build. I don't think there's another one like this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again on the next build.